The Devils could not overcome the final hurdle of their lengthy road trip. They dropped their recent game against the Rangers by a score of 3-2 in overtime. At least they walked away with something. Who's at fault? What went wrong? We have a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Elliott scores! Oh, Stevens stepped up, nailed him. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here at the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play announcer, Devils Wire Pucks Pitchforks, and also part-time credentialed media member, Trey Matthews. Can't win them all. The New Jersey Devils, to close out their road trip, lost to their Hudson River rival, the New York Rangers, 3-2 in overtime. In the first segment, I will share my main takeaways from each period and how the Devils ended up losing the game. Then in the second segment, we will play a soundbite from Jack Hughes. He spoke to the media. He talked about the state the team is in, his personal play, because let's be honest with ourselves, Jack Hughes did have a costly turnover in overtime that resulted in Carrick getting the game-winning goal and clinching it for the Rangers. And then in the third and final segment, like I do with every post-game recap episode, I will compare the stats and give the Devils a letter grade. All right. Going into the matchup, Curtis McDermott and Matt Rempe were both in the lineup. Rempe coming off of a lengthy suspension after another dirty play. Curtis McDermott in there for crowd control, just in case Rempe got a little too physical for the Devils' liking. Nothing really happened, and there was a lot of anticipation because, as we all know, Rempe and McDermott have a bit of a history dating back to last season that resulted in a brawl, probably one of the more memorable moments from the 2023-2024 season, but nothing really happened, and it was a bit of a letdown. And also, Igor Shesterkin returned from injury, so the Devils had to face that sort of challenge, and I still think Shesterkin is a very good goalie, despite the Rangers this season fighting for scraps in the Metropolitan Division, because after this matchup, they are third last in the Metropolitan Division. Obviously, they dealt away Capo Caco, Jacob Trouba. It's been a complete dumpster fire, and I'm still wondering how Peter Laviolette has his job. But honestly, I can't even thrash the Rangers all that bad. They won this particular matchup, but the Devils still have the edge in the series, 2-1. All right. In the first period, the Devils could have jumped up to a 2-0 or maybe a 2-1 lead. I would say they were very unlucky because Luke Hughes scored the opening goal, or so we thought. He went top corner, and the thing is, like, the referees didn't call it right away and play was still going on, but eventually they said he scored it, but we knew that the Rangers were going to challenge that because it looked a little funny. And once they looked at the replay monitor, it was revealed that it hit the crossbar. He didn't find the back of the net. Bill Spaulding knew it. Ken Danico knew it. Everybody on social media knew it. So the goal got waved off. And I also want to mention that Timo Meier in that same period, he had a shot that hit the iron. So Devils were hitting all sorts of things except the back of the net. And Adam Fox on the power play after Curtis McDermott was dinged with interference on Ryan Lindgren, he capitalized on the man advantage, and he actually broke Jonathan Kovacevic's stick in the process. Fox just let a strong shot go, and he broke Kovacevic's lumbar, and Markstrom just lost it. A lot of people were criticizing McDermott for getting that penalty, and Ken Danico said on air it was just a matter of McDermott being too strong for his own good because it was an offensive end penalty, and that kind of added insult to injury. But anyway, Devils were leading 1-0 heading into the first intermission. I was basically saying, okay, they had a couple shots not really go their way. They put the Rangers on the power play. Maybe they'll continue to put a whipping on them like they did in the previous two matchups. And the second period, they got off to a pretty good start. Jack Hughes, off of a shot from Brett Pesce, redirected the puck out in front, tipped it on in, and the game is tied 1 apiece. Jack Hughes continues to own New York. Well, he was one of the reasons why the Devils lost this particular matchup, but there are 3 guarantees in life: death, taxes, and Jack Hughes at least getting a point against the Rangers. Because, fun fact for you, he has scored 16 goals this season, and 31% of his goals have come against the Rangers. So 5 out of 16 goals are against the boys in blue. Just a little bit of a fun fact for you. And he also got the primary assist on Jesper Bratt's goal, which I'm about to talk about right now. So Dougie Hamilton had a big hit in neutral ice on Cooley and knocked him off the puck. Jack Hughes collects it, dished it over to Bratt, and Bratt just let a laser go, and Shesterkin lost sight of it. Devils go up 2-1. This is when the floodgates start to open, because if history repeats itself, the Devils are going to put up a lot of goals on the Rangers. Well, didn't happen that way, because the Devils went on another penalty kill, and the Rangers capitalized on the power play once again. So Nico Hischier, he went to the penalty box for slashing a player that doesn't really get penalties all that often. But in this instance, Mika Zibanejad, he was shooting everything in sight. That was his mindset. When in doubt, shoot the puck. And at one point, Markstrom made the save, but he couldn't collect the puck. And there was basically a scramble. And then Artemi Panarin, he found the back of the net for his 17th goal. The game is tied 2 apiece. Heading into the third period, nothing really all that eventful, aside from a minor scrum in front of Jacob Markstrom. He talked about it post-game. He said he didn't really think too much of it. But as you all know, you never touch the goalie, and the Rangers had to pay the piper. There were no penalties. There were no fights or anything like that. Just a little bit of pushing and shoving, just like get away from Markstrom. In fact, and the Devils social media team actually poked fun at it, and I found it quite comical. But anyway, nothing really happens in the third period, but this is where things start to turn around. So 60 minutes, couldn't decide a winner. So we head into overtime. And from my perspective, the Devils' execution in overtime seemed rather weak. They didn't seem as fast, and it seemed a little sloppy at times. And I'm just like, this isn't really the Devils team that's running full steam ahead. Their skating seemed a little bit off, and Jack Hughes tried to do too much with the puck. As a result, Sam Carrick swiped the puck away, dished it over to Riley Smith. Smith passed it back over to Carrick, and Carrick, of all players, scored the game-winning goal in overtime, and the Devils ended their road trip on a sour note. But on the bright side, at least they walked away with the points. That's all I can really say. Not really the best of showings, and it seemed like fatigue really caught up to the Devils. I'm going to talk about that momentarily, but before we continue, let me tell you guys about FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Okay, like I said in the previous segment, the Devils lost this game in OT thanks to a turnover by Jack Hughes. He coughed up the puck and Carrick knocked it away from him. Here's what Jack Hughes had to say to the media post-game. He talked about a lot of things. He was more talkative than usual. He discussed the state of the team in terms of fatigue and also his personal play. Take a listen.
What was your overall thoughts of the game?
Yeah, they definitely, played good. It was a good hockey game. Went both up and down the ice, and got to overtime and just like a couple bad plays by myself, and that's the game there.
A little disappointing. You get the 2-1 lead. You get a big hit. You get a big goal there. It looks like you guys had the momentum.
Yeah, we did. They're a good team though, and they've had a good power play for years. So, we took a penalty and gave one up on the PK, and then 2-2 hockey game, and it's going up and down the ice in the third. So, it is what it is.
How do you fight out of this offensively, where you guys were clicking and you guys were passing, scoring? Now it seems like it's going the other way right now. You're in a kind of a lull.
I think we're okay. I mean, thought we had some looks tonight, and goalie made some good saves, and we just got to keep going. It's a long year, and all we got to do is keep going and stay with it.
Jack, do you feel like your team had pretty good energy coming off the long trip and first game back?
Yeah, I mean, we still a road game, and I thought we had good energy, and thought we played well tonight, and definitely Markey played awesome again tonight, and when he's playing like that, and we just got to keep tightening it up, and most games we're going to win.
Brett, I mentioned maybe before you guys were able to maintain home possession more than you are now. What do you think is different?
I mean, you're not going to have 82 amazing offensive games, and I think tonight we maybe have more offensive zone time than we have on that Cali road trip, but we just got to keep finding our game, and we'll continue to stack up the wins, and we got a couple games at home here, and we're looking to continue our really good our games that we've been playing on home ice.
Sheldon just mentioned how in OT you guys take too many chances and leads to the other team getting rushed. Is that something you needed to work on, being more patient with the puck?
Yeah, I mean, I would say 2 not very good plays by myself. So that's frustrating, and that's not really a team thing. That's kind of like a personnel thing, and definitely wanted to take back 2 of those plays. So I don't know if that's like as a team thing, but that's more of like a individual thing, and I just got to tighten the ship up there in overtime.
At least Jack Hughes owned up to it. That's all I can say. Because I talked about it in the previous episode. People are so quick to talk about Dougie Hamilton and his respective giveaways. He actually was leading the team heading into this game. But I said Jack Hughes also turns the puck over, and he admitted it wasn't really a good play. And I felt as though there was just too much razzle dazzle in that sort of circumstance. Like, less is better, especially if your skating isn't really up to par in this particular game. Because once again, just from my perspective in OT, it seemed like fatigue really started to catch up to the Devils. And I think that's a legitimate reason. Head coach Sheldon Keefe talked about it in his respective media availability post-game.
When you look at a game like this, obviously you don't get the win, but what can you say about the teams compete and just digging deep? Because this is a tired team when you come to the end of a road trip like this.
Yeah, I think, with that in mind, I think it's a good point for us. There's things we would like to do better, plays we'd like to have back, but by and large, I thought we did some good things in the game. Obviously, special teams are a major factor in the game. Make a big difference, include overtime in that. But like I said, all things considered, it's a good point for our team. We'd like to have 2, but we'll take an important day off tomorrow. We need some recovery time here.
This is a tired team because even though they're back on the East Coast, it's still a road game to them. They're not playing in front of their home fans, and the Devils have been all over the country the past few days. Like, this road trip began in the South, in Carolina, then they went out to California to play the Ducks, the Sharks, the Kings. Then they went up a little bit more to Seattle to play the Kraken. Now, once again, they're back on the East Coast. They had practice at the Prudential Center, but they're still on the road. And I just want to make this perfectly clear. I'm not trying to make any excuses for them, but as someone who also travels a decent amount, it does catch up to you. I don't want anyone to take that lightly. So for anyone who says like, oh, traveling's not an excuse for playing poorly, remember, these athletes are human at the end of the day. No one is Superman out there. And I'm just speaking from my perspective as someone who sometimes travels quite a bit. So I think that's just the big thing for Devils, which is just to close out this road trip. We saw it in OT. They were just a little tired, but Jacob Markstrom made this good point, which is 5-on-5, he felt like the team was good because if you look at it, the Rangers scored 2 power play goals and then they scored the game-winning goal in overtime, which is obviously 3-on-3. So he felt as though if the Devils kept it 5-on-5, they would have had a better chance at winning because how did the Rangers get the equalizer goal? They got it on the power play thanks to Panarin. And I just want to make this also perfectly clear. Jacob Markstrom is not at fault for this particular game. In fact, if Markstrom was not in net, I don't think this game goes to overtime. So I guess just my biggest takeaway is that fatigue plays a factor. The Devils walked away with something. It's better than nothing. Markstrom was really good. Jack Hughes made a mistake. I wonder how Steve Valiquette felt about that. I wonder if he doubled down and said, like, oh, that's just Instagram hockey and it went wrong for him. But I'm kind of done talking about Steve Valiquette. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm going to probably bring it up in the next post game recap episode when the Devils play the Rangers again. But getting back on track, Jack, at least he walked away with a multi-point outing because, like I said, he got the tying goal in the second period, and then he got the primary assist on Jesper Bratt's goal, and I can't take that away from him. Jack Hughes always plays well against the Rangers. You just can't win them all. That's just plain and simple, and Jack talked about it in his media availability, which is you can't have a perfect game 82 times out of 82. You're going to run into these types of slumps, but I've said it before. I think a lot of teams would love to have the Devils sort of funk, which is their worst is still better than most people's best, and they're still second in the Metropolitan Division. At least they walked away with a point. That's all I can really say. All right. We're going to compare the stats, give the Devils a letter grade momentarily. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about Game Time. I love going to events, whether it's sports, music, theater, comedy, or more. Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I've actually used Game Time before to purchase myself some MLB and NBA tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time, everybody. Okay, let's compare the stats, give the Devils a letter grade, and get out of here. And hopefully the Devils can get some home cooking going their way. Shots on goal differential, 32-23 in favor of the Rangers. Power plays, Devils were 0 for 4 on the man advantage. Rangers were 2 for 3. One of the rare times this season in which the Devils special teams didn't really play all that well because they've been a good power play team all year long. They've been a pretty good penalty killing team all year long. But in this case, their power play wasn't really all that good. And their penalty kill wasn't really all that good. Hits 33-27 in favor of the Rangers. Giveaways 25-10 in favor of the Devils. Yeesh. Takeaways 5-2 in favor of the Devils. Block shots 20-15 in favor of the Rangers. Time spent in the penalty box 8-6 in favor of the Rangers. All right. This wasn't the Devils' best outing, but I will give them the benefit of the doubt. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I sound like a broken record. At least they walked away with something that's better than nothing. So I will give them a C- because they obviously should have played a lot better, but I think they just were playing really tired. They wanted to get back home, and they got a point. And I've said it before, which is if the Devils are in a hard-fought battle, just send it to OT so you don't come away empty-handed. And that's exactly what they did. And I know a lot of people are disappointed that the Devils couldn't sweep the Rangers this time around because the Rangers swept the Devils last year. And obviously, these two teams will face each other one more time. And I'm going to make a safe bet. I don't think the Rangers make the playoffs, but hey, the Devils dominated the Rangers in the previous two matchups, and now the Rangers sort of get their comeuppance, let them do their victory lap. But I think the Devils are in a better spot than the Rangers are. No disrespect, just looking at it from that sort of perspective. So I'm looking at it glass half full, not half empty. I try to remain optimistic, but C minus for the Devils this time around. Wasn't their best performance, could have been a lot better, but I think there's a lot of other factors that didn't really go their way. But let me know your thoughts. What did you think of this matchup between the Rangers and the Devils? What did you think of Jack Hughes' blunder in OT? And please share your thoughts. Am I crazy, or did the Devils start to slow down a little bit as the game progressed? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on podcast streaming service. Hit me up on my personal X Page app at TreyMatt4 or the show's X Page app at Locked On Devils. As for his episode, that's all the time I have for you. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys next episode. Thanks for listening once again.